and welcome to episode 10, episode 11, welcome to episode 12, welcome to episode 13, welcome to episode 9. As you can tell, the LS E30 is back in the garage after getting the exhaust system done. Now, as I was loading the car onto the trailer, the exhaust guy said, I could probably get you some gaskets if you need them. And I looked at the car and I went, okay. But as it turns out, he's mocked everything up and he's used RTV gasket sealant around all of the manifold flanges. So in addition to wrapping my manifolds in this episode, which is what this episode is going to be about, I'm going to unpick this exhaust system and fit the correct gaskets, do the copper grease on all of the nuts and bolts, and put it all back together again and fire it up and see how it all goes. Now, I've been over this exhaust system while it's under the car, and he has done the best he can with the space available. So I'm pretty satisfied with the way the exhaust system has been built, and he's basically done what he can to minimize the difficulty of working on the car. So the exhaust system's in three different sections: headers, mid, exhaust and rear, all with flanges, so I can take each section out as I need it. So that's good. It has O2 bungs in it already, but heat is going to be a major problem for this engine bay since I've put so much more engine in the car. Now, the driver's side footwell was already falling apart from the heat from the last motor, so I'm going to have to be a bit more diligent this time around with heat soak. And the passenger side, since it's got cylinders on it now, is going to need extra attention too, because I've got wiring, fuel lines, brake lines, clutch lines, oil lines, all down where that collector sits, which I'm going to need to heat proof everything I possibly can so that nothing catches fire. Here are the right side headers. They're 1 7/8 and they are tri-wire headers, so they look relatively satisfactory. I did have to remove the steering linkage to get them out and move the reservoir for the radiator system, but that was no biggie, so it all came right out. That's good news. Now, the left hand side is already unbolted, and I should theoretically just be able to pull that out once I've unbolted all the manifold bolts. Then I can have that entire section out as well, and that would be tremendous, because most of the action is going to be on this side of the car, because that's where all the stuff is. Okay, moment of truth time. Can I get the left side headers out without unbolting anything else? Can I even do it one-handed? Yeah, man. Come on. This might be a bit of a struggle. Ta-da! Just had to move the fuel regulator out of the way and it came straight out. Nice. Nice one, Ricky. For the record, those extractors came out of that engine bay far more easily than the extractors came out of the VY engine bay that I stripped down many weeks ago. Okay, let's fast forward, because I don't appear to have any footage of me putting the wrap on any of this. I seem to recall it being a pretty itchy and unpleasant experience, and I ended up with about 30 meters of this to put into the engine bay. So I just got in and got it done. It meant chucking away multiple pairs of gloves and shirts because the fiberglass went everywhere. I was also doing a couple of these insulation wrap projects for Al at the time, so I got 2 rolls of him to do my project. And as you can see here, it's wrapped from the primaries right down underneath the car. I'll get under the car and I'll show you all of that. While I was at it, I discovered that the leads were uncomfortably close to the primaries once I had wrap on them, but if I rotated the lead plug as it goes into the coil, I could actually pull the leads away from the primaries, so that was a good hack. I'll go around and show you the other side. I used stainless steel zip ties. There's a heap of videos on the YouTubes regarding how this is best executed. So this is my project. Everything's wrapped, everything's been heat cycled. I think all the paint's burnt off now. So hopefully that mitigates a bit of the temperature difference. I did have the laser probe on it, and I think it saves me 40 degrees or 50 degrees or something like that in comparison between the fiberglass insulation and the bare manifold. Every little bit will help. Alright, let's go have a look under the car. Here we have the view from under the car, and primaries clear everything nicely. The wrap does make things a bit more squeezy, but as you can see there, it goes right down to the 2-bolt manifold. I bought those flanges from Repco after I discovered, or these flange gaskets from Repco after I discovered that didn't actually have any. So those have been deployed and everything has been wrapped to the best of my ability right down to the center muffler. Now this system is a 3-inch system throughout, so it goes from 3 inches into a single 3-inch and then to a muffler, and then single 3-inch from the muffler to the back box via a 3-bolt flange. When all this came home, it sounded like it was leaking from everywhere. So pretty much the plan was to pull all this apart, apply gaskets where I could. You can see the copper grease on the manifold bolts up there, and basically reassess how it all played out. And I'm pleased to announce that once factory gaskets were on the motor and Repco gaskets were on the flanges, all the exhaust leaks stopped. So that's good news. I should probably add that those flange bolts were almost impossible to get to unless I dropped this suspension arm down out of the way, which was pretty simple because it's just 2 bolts undone there. Obviously I had to take the wheel off to get access to everything. Once the wheel was off, those bolts would drop down and this lollipop arm swung right out of the way. It's giving me excellent access to these manifold bolts as they come down next to the gearbox. Here is the shot of the midsection of the exhaust. He's tucked it up under the car as far as he can get it. There's literally millimeters in it between the gearbox mount and the muffler. By the time I added the wrap, I was forced to clearance everything all over again because it was touching the gearbox just there. So I've clearanced the gearbox webbing to get around the wrap. I think I had to do the same thing for the transmission mount. Once the wrap was added, clearances all disappeared, so I had to re-clearance everything. Goes 3-inch all the way back to the diff. I haven't put anything other than RTV on that flange there. It's all the way at the back of the car, and so far it's difficult to hear it that it's leaking. This muffler system is all mounted on rigid rubber mounts, so it's not going to go anywhere or flap around at all. And lastly we come to the back box. And there we have it. One full custom exhaust system built from scratch and installed into my BMW E30 LS project. Right, time to start it up. It looks a bit dubious, doesn't it? That rusty watermark. Just as well, it's all the way at the back of the car, and I can pretend I didn't see a thing. Doesn't it sound much happier now? So, summary time for episode 9. Now, it spent about 3 or 4 weeks at the muffler shop. It went in just before the Easter break, so things dragged out, and then when I got the car back, I needed to add all my own gaskets and re-wrap everything to finish the exhaust system off, but for the money I spent, I'm pretty happy with the outcome of that. It's not crazy loud. I didn't want to put zoomy headers out of the bonnet or anything, so it needed to be not so much streetable, but able to pass the noise requirement tests out at Lakeside Park when I eventually get this car out to the track to do some hot laps. Or should I say shakedown testing to see what breaks next. As for leaving the garage today under its own steam, I actually filmed this portion of the video weeks and weeks and weeks after everything else has been done, so I've got video footage of it going out of the garage somewhere in the archives, but there's a whole bunch of oil leaks and coolant leaks and other dramas that I had to sort out before I could get the car to move. It does move though, it does move. Honestly, it does. Idiot, idiot, idiot chicken, idiot.
Johnny.
You will be the first to have your neck wrung, stupid. No chickens were harmed during the filming of this video.